Ho! That was good. We're sitting
Where
in the
am
same
I?
room.
Same room. It's like, I feel like I'm here. Where are you?
Who's actually in the room is the question. You
That's
could
a
put your,
very good question.
is Brad in my office and I have an AI background, or am I in my office and Brad has an AI background? We don't know.
Whose office is it really? Welcome to the show, though.
Welcome.
Bring us in.
Should we address the obvious first?
Where is Charles Blain? Where is he?
Who knows? Isn't he at the bottom of the? Oh, breaking news. Charles Blain has not been arrested. Don't take that seriously.
That's what I did not do this. Charles Blain, it says Charles Blain has been arrested. It's a tick. We're waiting details of what's happening. I don't know what happened. I think we'll find out, though.
I would text him. I would call him, but it goes straight to voicemail. So I don't know.
Anyhow, yeah, Charles is not here. Bring us in, Michael.
Yeah, so we're the BM podcast today because Charles is not with us. He has not been arrested. He has been he's up in Dallas doing something important, more important than coming on the BCM podcast, I think. So it'll just be Brad and I.
I don't know how I feel about the BM podcast.
Yeah, it's the BCM podcast. We're just, Charles-less.
We're here. We're doing it. All right.
And we're going to make the most of this opportunity while Charles is in here.
Yeah, we are.
We may say some things about Charles that he doesn't like to hear, but we're going to have some fun with it. So today we're talking about a bunch of things going on. We've got the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has flip-flopped on FISA. He has now been into the dark room and been convinced that we need to reauthorize spying on American citizens. We've got O.J. Simpson passed away recently. We might talk about that.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
So we might talk about that. We have a little riff amongst the conservatives about Christians being killed in Gaza, and Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro and whoever else are all mad at each other. Megyn Kelly had a segment on it recently too, with Victor Davis Hanson, where they're going after Tucker for even airing that perspective. So we'll talk about that. And then because it's Brad and I, and we're both here in Austin, I think we're going to talk about some Austin stuff. We got a mayor race. Kirk Watson just announced that he's going to run for re-election. Do you have a sound that goes wah, wah?
Do I have a sound that goes wah? I have. Clown music.
That was our send off to Nikki Haley when she decided to not run.
Still, it's sort of it's a clown show, all the same. This whole race and everything that's going on in Austin. I mean, Kirk Watson supposedly, did he bully all the other council members into vouching for him, into supporting him? I don't know.
All but two.
We'll talk about it.
We can talk about what's going on there. And then we're live on YouTube right now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we can also talk about the ATF has a new rule about background checks for private gun sellers and what that means. So where do you want to begin?
Let's start with Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. Big Mike,
the Speaker of the House. So there was a lot of high hopes about this guy from the Freedom Caucus types. Matt Gaetz, if you don't remember, ousted previous Speaker Kevin McCarthy for not sticking to his promises, if you will, or maybe he was just liking to cause havoc. I don't know. Depends on what you believe, but he ousted Kevin McCarthy. And this new guy came in, Mike Johnson, very conservative from Louisiana. I think people had high hopes for him, but those hopes started to diminish pretty quickly when he, said he was an America First candidate, but the first thing he brought to the House floor was something related to another country. And then recently, MTG has been making a bunch of noise about this FISA reauthorization. And if you don't know what FISA is, it's a court where you can apply to spy on, it's supposed to be for only people in other countries, but has been used to spy on Americans, including famously Donald Trump. And so Congress has to reauthorize the program. And Mike Johnson, when he was announced that he was going to be speaker, had said he would not reauthorize FISA. Well, according to Mike Johnson, he went into a SCIF, a secret meeting, and saw the intelligence agency's case for why they need FISA, and has changed his mind. MTG is threatening to oust him as speaker. What's that called? Where they
vacate the seat.
If he does that, and Matt Gaetz has started chirping up too. So we're getting ready for some drama in the House of Representatives about who the speaker is.
Yeah.
Brad, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that he went into the secret room with the intelligence agencies. I kind of feel like that's similar to maybe like a grand jury type situation, right? Where the prosecutor, the DA can just show whatever evidence they want to show. They can indict a ham sandwich, as they say. And there's no chance. I think that people talk about this also, like, presidential candidates, right? They'll talk a big game and everything on the campaign trail. Then they get into office, and then the intelligence agencies, the military industrial complex will go in there and say, look, actually, you said all these things on the campaign trail, but here's the real deal and why you can't do that stuff. Now, I think Donald Trump was maybe a prime example of this sort of thing, where you get the daily briefing, and they're only going to show him what they want to show him, right? To get him to do what they want him to do. So he goes into the secret room. The intelligence agencies are going to show him what they want. They're going to control the narrative. It's almost as if intelligence agencies are pretty good at that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, it makes me wonder, what did they actually show him in that room?
They probably showed him all the child pornography they planted on his computer.
That was my initial thought, because how do you get somebody to flip that quickly?
Yeah.
And that significantly. And that's the speculation that's running around the Twitter sphere, is like, well, is this like an Epstein operation where they have something actually on Speaker Johnson, or is this legitimate? Like, he saw why they need the FISA program. I don't know.
I mean, if Mike Johnson is, he's an America First, whatever, he's a Donald Trump supporter, MAGA, whatever, right? I don't know how much he actually are those things, but the way that the FISA courts treated Donald Trump, you'd think that they'd have to show him something really compelling to keep this on, or they're just, they showed him what they can do to him. Dr. Carlson has a little bit to say about this. I think this is the right clip.
Without shame, in fact, with pride, and they do so at the behest of, or because of, blackmail instituted by the intel agencies. And at the head of that list would be the chairman of the House Intel Committee, Mike Turner of Ohio. We're going to play you a clip from Mike Turner of Ohio saying exactly the opposite of what is true. Here is Mike Turner reassuring you that FISA would never, under the FISA law, the U.S. government would never be allowed to spy on you without a warrant, because that's unconstitutional. It's never happened. It never will happen. And if you think otherwise, you're probably one of those UFO believing nut jobs who want to.
Excuse me?
What?
Earl?
Stop doing ayahuasca. Here's House Intel Committee, pawn of the intel agencies, Mike Turner of Ohio.
We're not surveilling foreigners in the United States. We're not surveilling Americans in the United States. Those individuals who say that this is a warrantless search of Americans' data are just not telling the truth. These are foreigners abroad. They're a select group of individuals who are a national security threat. If you're an American and you're corresponding with ISIS, yes, if we're spying on ISIS, your communications are going to be captured. You would want us to do that. All Americans would want us to try to make certain that we keep ourselves safe from these outside terrorist groups and organizations. We are not spying on Americans. This is not a warrantless surveillance program. This is foreigners who are abroad only.
Every word of that, a lie. And we don't need to guess. And I hate to use that pronoun, but I specifically don't need to guess, because that actually happened to me. The NSA broke into my text messages, read them, passed them to news organizations in order to discredit me, and then admitted that they did that, admitted that they spied on me. And they did it under FISA, because I was daring to text with a foreigner outside our borders.
There you go. Dr. Carlson has something to say about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Mike Turner, I just quickly Googled top secret or open secrets, top campaign contributors to Mr. Representative Turner. And we have the defense industry, the pro-Israel PAC, and defense aerospace as his top 3 industries giving to him. So he's not biased at all, but shameful in him just going on to CNN, which I like to call constant negative news.
Oh,
lying to us, lying to our faces.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. And I mean, so Tucker Carlson, I guess this came out when he went to Moscow, right? And he became a what's the right word? He's a Russophile, a Russiophile. I don't know. Now he loves Moscow, and it's the greatest place ever, which was kind of interesting. But doing that trip, going to interview Vladimir Putin, he got his shit broken into, is what he says. So yeah, I mean, welcome to the shit show that is going on. So what do we do about this, Michael? What can we possibly do? Is it because we're not electing the right people?
Are we not electing the right people? No, I don't know that that's necessarily the problem.
Okay. What is the problem?
I think even if we elected a Brad Swail, they would corrupt you either through blackmail or through campaign donations. The system is designed to do that.
Now, this is, I don't know if I should be offended or not. Why do you think that I would be so susceptible to such things?
Because everybody has a price, right?
Okay. If you were the intel agencies, what would you do to blackmail me or sway my vote, Michael?
I don't even have to be the intel agencies. Just as your friend and joint podcast host, I have enough on you to blackmail you right now. Easy. I don't know. I don't know what his motivation is. Some of these guys are true believers, but Mike Johnson flipping on it. I know everyone doesn't like the motion to vacate, but look, if you have a leverage point and you need people officials have released additional info. If you have that mechanism to force leadership to do what they said they're going to do, what choice are they giving you? They're not really giving the MTGs, Matt Gaetz of the world, Thomas Massey. They're not really giving them another choice. They're kind of calling their bluff. So when and if they do use that mechanism, I don't want to hear a bunch of crying about it.
Okay. So, the Thomas Masseys of the world and the MTGs, they seem pretty, by the way, we have an update. The officials have released additional info in the Charles Blain arrest. I think we'll get more info later about what's going on with that. So the Thomas Masseys, the MTGs of the world, they're not happy about this. So, I mean, maybe they're the right people to be elected to really push back on this sort of thing. I don't know that voting is going to fix something like this. But that's what we're told to do, right? Is just vote harder. Right?
No. Yeah, it's not gonna fix it.
Okay, so this is what we have to live with until the fall of the Republic?
I guess so. I mean, what other avenue is there? I don't see a path forward to avoid this stuff. I think that the Congress and our agencies, including the Department of Defense and the CIA, are completely captured. They don't serve the Americans' interests. They serve their own interests. And I don't know what to do about that other than to keep talking about it. I think there's been at least some realization among people who probably didn't know it before. Tucker Carlson is a very good example of somebody who used to parrot, CIA and Defense Department talking points about the Iraq War and is now talking about aliens and not reauthorizing FISA. But I don't know if there's there's certainly no short-term solution. I don't know what the long-term solution would be other than sunlight.
Yeah. Which is what we're doing here, I guess, right? Trying to add some sunlight to it. No more darker. There's no dark room at the BCM podcast. We do it all out in the open.
Yeah. And the big podcasters are all talking about this stuff. So it's gaining momentum.
Okay.
I think.
So, I mean, as Trump gets in there, he's talking about, abolishing FISA or whatever, however he wants to do it. Is he going to do that?
Trump?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Why not? He was a victim of it. He was the victim of it. Why would he not do that?
Yeah, but he's also susceptible to ego
Donald Trump?
and flattery, and I think they'll if he's allowed to win.
Uh-oh.
If he wins, I think that they'll run the same play on him that they ran in 2016, which was put people in places in his cabinet that can undermine whatever he wants and use flattery to get on his good side and convince him that, it's the right thing to do. And he'll do some things that are good, but a lot of the stuff he'll do will not be good.
Well, so what is all right, fine. You think that that's going to work again in 2000, and if he's allowed to win, all right. If he's allowed to win, do you think he's going to fall for that same trick again?
Yes.
Why?
Well, we asked that question of Douglas McGregor, right?
Yeah.
We asked him, I think I asked him, do you think that Trump really understands the nature of what he's up against and what needs to be done? And I had an instinct about that, and McGregor confirmed that. He said, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think he does. And the way he's talking about a lot of things makes me feel like he doesn't. I don't think he still quite gets it.
Did you want me to play this clip of Speaker Johnson?
Sure. I mean,
let's do it. Let's do this.
When I was a member of the judiciary, I saw all the abuses of the FBI, the terrible abuses over and over and over, the hundreds of thousands of abuses. And then when I became speaker, I went to the SCIF and got the confidential briefing from sort of the other perspective on that to understand the necessity of the Section 702 of FISA and how important it is for national security. And it gave me a different perspective. So I encourage all the members to go to the classified briefing and hear all that and see it so they can evaluate the situation for themselves. And I think some opinions have changed both ways, but that's part of the process. You got to be fully informed.
Have you been
Hundreds of thousands of abuses is what he said, right?
Mm-hmm.
I heard that correctly. Hundreds of thousands of abuses. Hundreds of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
They're abusing it hundreds of thousands of times. Is that 900,000, almost 1 million times? Does it get into the millions? How long until we get to the millions, Michael Searle? I don't know. But it kind of sounds like if they're abusing it hundreds of thousands of times, what evidence could they possibly show you, Mike Johnson, that you should backtrack and maybe change your mind? Have minds changed that abusing something like FISA hundreds of thousands of times is okay?
I don't know. It's so obvious. I mean, I don't know. It's so obviously he's making a very terrible case for his flip-flop there, but he's done this on a number of things. So I'm not surprised by it. I was quickly unimpressed by him, and I'm not surprised that he flipped on this and other things. I mean, he's also, as an example, is going to bring Ukraine aid to the floor, and it's going to get voted out of the House, and we're going to send more money to dead end war that's just resulting in people dying unnecessarily. And I don't think who was in contention before Mike Johnson for speaker that didn't quite make it. Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
Now you understand why they didn't allow Jim Jordan to become a speaker, and they capitulated on Mike Johnson.
Yeah. Well, I think that Candace Owens, she's your new favorite right wing. What? She's not? Well, I thought you said that she's your favorite. You texted me that. You said that Candace Owens is spitting fire, I think maybe Charles said that. I'm kidding. She says, and you're going to get a picture of the frog, but she says that who do you guys think they're going to move into Ukraine now that they've technically cleansed it while the whole world was watching? What is she saying there, Michael?
She said ethnically cleansed it.
Yeah. Well, who are they going to move into Ukraine now that it's been ethnically cleansed?
Maybe they can create a Palestinian state there.
Well, I think the conspiracy theory is, and I don't know that she's referencing this. I have no idea. I don't know Candace Owens. Maybe we can ask Charles next week when he comes back on, since he knows her personally. I think she's referring to the Khazarian conspiracy theory. Khazaria, a former empire that's been held, that's been secreted away in the history books. We're not allowed to learn about this, and that's going to be the new Israel.
Oh, I'm not aware of this conspiracy.
Yeah, I have no idea what the merits of it are. It sounds kind of wild. I don't know, but it kind of sounds like that's what she's alluding to. And, as you saw, the Pepe and Mel Gibson meme that was posted under there, maybe that's what she is. Maybe that's what people think she's talking about. I don't know. But Candace Owens is doing something. She's supposed to have some sort of, I don't know, debate with Ben Shapiro, not on the Daily Wire. That's be neutral territory. I don't know. They don't seem like each other anymore.
What happened to that?
What happened to what?
The debate. I thought it was supposed to happen on like Monday.
Well, she was in London for when they wanted to do it, and Jeremy Boring was saying, well, you've flown all over the world for debates and stuff like that to talk with people in person. Why won't you do it for this one? And she said that, well, you guys knew that I was going to be in London at this time. You were supposed to send Daily Wire staff with me. You already had the plane tickets booked. So why are you guys doing this, right? You're playing a little game. But she's agreed to do it just on neutral ground, neutral territory, when she's no longer out of the country. So
we'd be happy to do it here. I don't know that this would be neutral territory, possibly.
Well, Charles and Candace are real close, so it's not fair. Not fair at all.
And I'm probably more sympathetic to her position on this one. We've avoided talking about Israel Palestine on this podcast for a number of reasons, but I think she, whatever you think of her position, she certainly has demonstrated a little bit of bravery in her willingness to speak out against, what she sees as moral failings of the war and the discourse. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I've always had a thing with Ben Shapiro where I think he's yes. I think he's a little bit of a neocon in sheep's clothing. And I've always felt that way. And when he was rising through the ranks, during the Trump administration, after he, voted for, I don't think he voted for Trump the first go around.
I don't think so.
And he's talking about free speech and, America first. And I always just felt, well, you didn't really change. You've always kind of been a neocon hawk, and willing to shut down debate that you don't, or speech that you don't particularly like. And now I find it interesting that the Daily Wire decided to fire Candace Owens because she was taking a position that they didn't appreciate.
Yeah. Well, he's known for debating college students from the podium when they ask him a question. And I guess that's, kind of cool in a way. Like, it's fun to watch on YouTube, but it's not really I've seen him debate actual people. College students aren't real people. Actual intellectuals, and he struggles a little bit more with that sort of stuff. But I think we have an update exclusive. Charles Blain has been arrested for squatting in a Houston area home. He is quoted as saying, "Housing is a human right. We must provide housing for all. Increase the minimum wage to $30 an hour." Charles, what are you talking about? "And implement a crushing carbon tax now." Charles Blain, weird. He says, "You may take my life, but you may never take my freedom." Yimby. Weird. Charles Blain?
Oh.
What do you expect from Yimby?
I know. They're willing to do anything to achieve their goal of reorganizing society in a way that they see it should run, or believe it should run.
I'm disappointed that he was squatting in a Houston area home, but I guess that's a Yimby for you. You know what I mean?
We're going to start rumors here that Charles is going to have to beat down.
Yeah. Well,
his mom may be watching.
Oh yeah. Hi, Miss Blain. I hate this. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your son was arrested for squatting in a Houston area home, and he quoted Braveheart. "You may take my life, but you may never take my freedom." I don't seems out of character. But there you go. That's what Charles is doing. Anyhow,
We thought we would take full advantage of Charles not being on the phone by telling stories about where he is.
yeah, he's getting his haircut in Dallas. All right, what you want to move on to the next topic? Have we beat the FISA horse?
Yeah, I think so. What do
Okay.
you want to talk about? Do we want to talk about OJ?
Yeah, we can talk about OJ.
Okay. So yesterday, OJ Simpson.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
What murder?
I'm assuming that's some sort of famous video from.
I don't know that it's
when he
famous
was
or
on
not.
trial.
I don't even. I think they're talking about OJ Simpson, but yeah, a couple guys, a couple white guys, not just black people, but white guys. They're big fans of OJ Simpson, and I think that based on that accent, where they
He was
from?
the best guy around.
New Jersey.
New York.
Is that Charles Blain?
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
What murder? Charles would know. Go on. He Drudge Report headline yesterday: Cancer murders OJ. They went hard in the paint on OJ Simpson at the Drudge Report.
That was really their headline?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was really their headline. I think I have it somewhere, but yeah. So he died of cancer. I didn't even know he had cancer.
Well, he denied having cancer, right?
I don't know.
A few months ago, there's a video of him basically saying there was a rumor speculating that he had cancer, and he was like, I don't, or he was in some sort of care, and he's like, I don't know what they're talking about. People are making stuff up. I'm fine. I'm having a party at my house in Las Vegas to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, he's been murdered by cancer. Rest in peace to OJ Simpson. A lot of people have mixed feelings about this. Why you cock your head a little bit there? Why?
Rest in peace. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I was the little bit I've seen about this on the Twitter sphere is people actually like celebrating it, which I thought was a little over the top.
Yeah.
No matter what you believe about the murders, I don't think it's very fun to celebrate somebody's death either way.
Okay.
But some people have some pretty strong feelings about it. So they were like, is he going to rest in peace? And I saw a meme, I think from a former Family Guy episode where the ghosts are taking a body away. And it was like Nicole Simpson taking OJ's body straight to HE
Straight
double
out.
hockey stick.
HE double hockey sticks. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he did it or not. I've heard convincing arguments both ways. At the end of the day, that was a long time ago, right? Did the justice system work? Does the justice system ever work? I don't know. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. I also heard that he stopped taking his arthritis medication so that his hands would swell up, and then the gloves wouldn't fit. I don't know. Will we ever know?
No.
Well,
We
he
won't
wrote
ever know.
He wrote a book that didn't come out. Maybe it'll come out now if I did it, or if I would have done it, or whatever. Right? So yeah, I guess I say rest in peace to OJ Simpson.
Yeah, sure. He was, a great football player, a great running back. But yeah, people have strong opinions about it. I've gone down that rabbit hole. I mean, I have opinions about what happened, didn't happen. But we won't ever probably know for sure. It seems to me pretty clear what happened there.
Well, okay. You went down the rabbit hole. You have your opinions about it. This is the place to share your opinions.
Yeah, he killed his wife and that guy.
Why do you say that?
I just think the evidence, outside the Mark Furman stuff, and he had the all-star team of defense attorneys. He had Johnny Cochran, he had Robert Kardashian, he had Alan Dershowitz. He had like a superstar team of lawyers going up against the district attorney's office, and they presented a better defense. And that's the way our system works.
Yeah.
So he was found innocent by a jury, but it was contentious. There was cultural implications, there was race implications. It was a big thing. But in my personal opinion, having gone down the rabbit hole in previous years. It seems, if I had to cast judgment, I think the evidence points to his involvement.
Okay.
It reminds me, what was his Robert Kardashian, who was the one who walked out of his house after he turned himself in and after the Bronco chase, and he walked out with a garment bag, and the speculation is that's where the weapon was. It reminds me of Diddy's plane flying to Antigua right before his arrest.
I'm not aware of the garment bag story. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah. Robert Kardashian walked out of the house with a garment bag, the famous garment bag, and the speculation is that's where the murder weapon was, and some clothes.
Okay. Well, you don't put a murder weapon in a garment bag without clothes. That's
true.
A rule that everyone knows, right?
Yeah.
What's going on with P. Diddy? Do we have any updates on that? Is he still on the lam? Have they found him?
I have no idea. I heard that he was maybe on spring break with his family somewhere. But
a year for spring break. What?
Yeah. Typically, if you're raiding, you would think that they are ready to arrest, right?
Yeah. But the way the justice system works, who the hell knows, man? If they raid my house, I'm kind of expecting to get arrested. Right?
But no arrests.
Okay. Well,
no arrest yet.
I think we might have a show dedicated to something like that sometime soon, where we'll figure that out.
I think so.
We figure that out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen. I hear what people are saying. I'm still kind of waiting to see if anything comes of it. I think that if he is not arrested and there are no charges brought against Diddy himself, I think they have set the stage for all the conspiracy theorists to be validated.
Yeah. Well,
because if he's accused of...
Do they care if conspiracy theorists are validated? I don't think they do.
Who care?
The people that, I don't know, say that the conspiracy theorists are a bunch of tinfoil hat weirdos.
Well, what are they going to say? How do they turn this around? Like he was being investigated for sex trafficking, human trafficking, drugs, racketeering, and then they don't bring charges. They're going to be like, well, we looked into it and there actually wasn't any sex trafficking and there wasn't actually any racketeering and there actually wasn't any of these things. And therefore we didn't. Or will it just kind of go silent on it? The media, will they just go silent?
I think they'll kind of go silent. It seems like they already have.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe the media got taken into a skiff, into a back room, and got shown some evidence, right, about why they should maybe not talk about this. Despite the thousands of abuses that have been levied against him, the accusations, abuses levied against him, despite all of that, we can't talk about it.
Yeah,
it's over.
Well, my favorite theory right now, which would explain no charges, is that he's actually an informant himself. And therefore that would, if he is an informant, I'm not saying he is, but if he were, then that would make sense if they didn't actually bring charges against him.
Now, what would be the purpose of him being an informant? What is he informing on?
I don't know.
The rap game?
Presumably the rap game has ties to organized crime and gangs. If we look back at and we'll get into this into the next episode, I think. But if you look back at, the Tupac Biggie murders, there was gang connections there with Suge Knight and Diddy. And so maybe he has information on the rap game. Maybe he has information on politicians. Maybe he has information on other celebrities. I don't know. He's been a serious cultural figure involved in all areas of politics, business, Hollywood, music for the last 3 decades. And he's been known for hanging out with a lot of influential and powerful people. So does he have information on them? Probably.
Well, all right. P. Diddy's name comes up in the news recently, right? Because of all of this stuff that we're talking about. And, I felt like that was the first time I heard about P. Diddy in probably a decade. I don't know. Is he still releasing music? Is he that influential? I kind of feel like he made his money, made his name, and then sort of went into the background. Is he like producing music? Does he have like a vodka that he's selling?
Ciroc.
Yeah. That Ciroc is P. Diddy or was P. Diddy? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what a lot of people do nowadays, get into the liquor game.
Yeah, I mean, certainly he's not in the spotlight as much as he used to be. I don't know. This is not really my area of expertise, but he was out during the 2020 campaign, getting very involved, encouraging people to vote for Joe Biden.
Was he?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. All right.
So I guess we'll see or we won't see.
What, next week?
No, what happens with Diddy?
Oh, well, I kind of feel like we're not going to see it. So that's my prediction. You know how good I am with predictions.
Yeah.
What I say, the biggest winner of 2024 is going to be MLS.
Oh, who did Charles say? I can't remember, but Donald Trump maybe. Did he say Donald Trump?
I don't know. Who knows? Who's Charles? I don't know.
All I'm saying, we could put up the chart of what's their face, Michael Saylor's company right now, and I'm closest to right now on who the biggest winner of 2024 is. MicroStrategy's stock is through the roof, and Michael Saylor, the number one holder of Bitcoin in the world, is doing quite well.
Yeah, for now, we'll see.
It's going that direction. It's going that way.
I mean, are you think it's going backwards the way you're
Up, right?
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe it will. I'm sure there's still some life left in it, but I think once this election comes around, you're going to see some funny business. I still don't understand why all of this technology was developed by, like, with the help of government grants and agencies and stuff like that from time immemorial, right? Similar to Google. And why would they let this happen? Why would they let freedom happen? Are they in the habit of letting freedom happen? No. Right.
No.
Right. So why would they let this happen? Do they have no recourse against it?
Well, Bitcoin enthusiasts would tell you there's nothing they can do about it.
Okay.
That's what they would say. Their attempt to get control of it was creation of the ETF by BlackRock, and now they're just going to buy it up and hold it so they can control the price. That's how they control it, I think. For me, it's really a pretty simple analysis.
Okay.
We have an ever-increasing supply of money in the world, globally.
Sure. Talking about fiat.
And we have a limited number of assets. What's going to happen to that asset?
If there's unlimited money being printed and limited assets, then the assets price would go down.
No.
Hold on, let me think about this.
There's more supply chasing a finite resource.
Oh, right. Then yes, you're right. Yes. That makes sense. Right. Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. So whoever created it, which we don't know, for me, it has a track record and it's just seems logical. So you can put your money in.
Go ahead.
You can put your money in gold or the stock market, and they go up. Bitcoin goes up more, and gold is not a limited supply. There's about 2% increase in the supply of gold each year. Stock market, obviously, they're always creating new shares of things. So seems pretty straightforward. Did the CIA create it? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know. Isn't it logical also that they wouldn't allow this sort of like Charles just texted. Isn't there a logical argument to be said that they would not allow this to happen? That they're going to do everything that they can to stop it. They're not going to let people get out from underneath their thumb, right? They're going to do something. I always joke that it's the internet kill switch, right? Because it's internet money. What are you going to do if they turn off the internet? Well, have it on cold storage. Okay, what are you going to do with that? Just have it on a floppy disk until they turn the internet back on.
I'm willing to take the bet that they don't turn the internet off. I'm willing to bet. What do I think they're going to do? I think they're getting in the game. I think they're going to get in the game and they're going to drive the price up and they're going to make money too.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like what they would do is just buy it all up and then it would be, then no one else has it but them, and then they just destroy it.
Yeah, the problem is
lose the keys.
The problem with that is though, only about 20% of the Bitcoin that exists is available for sale. 80% of it is either lost already or people they're hodlers. They don't sell it.
Yeah.
So even if they can only control.
What's the purpose of that? If you're just holding on to it forever, or if you lose it, it's gone forever, which I understand that concept, but what does that do? Like, what are you supposed to do with it?
It stores value. So
unless you lose it and it stores value, but that's cool and all, but that's only helpful if you use it.
For the vast majority of us that don't lose it, and there isn't an internet kill switch moment, you put $100 into it in 2013 is now worth $70,000. That's
okay.
the purpose of it.
Sure. So now you put $100 in. Now you have the $70,000 in wealth to your name, but all right. And then what do you do with it? At what point do you do something with it?
Never.
Well, then what's the point?
What's the point? Well,
okay, so
people have IRAs, people invest in gold, they buy stocks,
sure.
They put money into real estate. Like why do you do any of that?
Well, I mean, if I put money into real estate, right? If I bought a second home, I could rent it out, right? And I could make money off of it. Like I would have mailbox money, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. Or I could sell it later on and make a little bit of money, whatever, right? That's there. But it's not never. I mean, it's not that I buy this house. I buy. You did say never. You did say never.
Okay, well, I'll take that back. Not never.
Okay.
But you can pass it on to your kid.
I don't know when do you pass it on to your kid, and then what do they do with it? Do they hold it forever?
If they want to.
So if you just hold it forever, then the money is lost. If you never do anything with it, you might as well have just bought a trinket that you look at. Well,
I think eventually, already exists. You can borrow against it. Like,
okay,
I have this as collateral. Give me a loan. Like just like any financial instrument, I think it's part of a portfolio of long-term investing. It's the fastest moving asset by leaps and bounds. It's not even close. It's only going to go up because of what I said, supply and demand. And yes, at some point, like when I retire, will I sell it so that I have cash? I don't know. Is it a means that can you use it as money at that point? I don't know. Can you pay for goods and services? Can I buy a house with it? Like, I don't know where I'll be then, but I don't plan on selling it in the cycle.
Yeah.
Of up and down.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I own cryptocurrency. I get it. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it either, but I have it. I'm not saying it's totally, totally useless or whatever. I just, is it the best thing in the world? Am I a Bitcoin maximalist? Absolutely not. I still think that there's a good chance they're not going to let us get away with this. Right. Yeah. I think that we should all be worried about that.
You're so cynical. If you're a Bitcoin maxi, you would be more optimistic about the future. And the case is, do you have money? The question is, if you're saving for long term, do you put money into an IRA, which grows by about 7% a year? Do you put money into gold, which has about similar returns? Do you leave it in a low yield savings account? Like, do you put it in some sort of ETF? Do you have money managers? All those things. We all save money for the future.
Sure.
Nothing moves up as much and as quickly as Bitcoin. Nothing. Besides some of these altcoins.
Yeah.
So do you want more returns on your investment or less?
Well, obviously I want more, right? But I also
What are we
want
talking about?
I also want to know what I can do with it, because it's also, advertised and marketed as, an alternative to fiat currency, to the dollar, and that's fine. But I can't go and use it right now, which is, maybe that'll change, right? Maybe it'll change in the future. Maybe there'll be I don't know, a P. Terry's or an In-N-Out burger that takes Bitcoin.
But don't spend your Bitcoin on P. Terry's. Spend your dollars on P. Terry's.
What is it? I mean, I get it. I understand, but it's not, maybe I run out of money and I need to use it. Right. But then I have to say, I don't know. I'm not convinced on it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, a fun story. I had Matthew. I told him if he invested
Who's Matthew?
The oldest, the 10-year-old.
Okay.
I told him if he invested money into Bitcoin, I'd match it.
Okay.
So he put in $100.
Okay.
When it was 17,000.
Okay.
When and I matched $100. He now has I don't know, $1,200.
Sure. Until the government comes and says, no, you can't do that anymore. This is a tool for human trafficking and other illicit activities. And if you own it, you are now a criminal. What?
I don't think they're going to do that. And I think it's evidenced by BlackRock ETF getting approved by the SEC and the other 6. I think that what they're saying is, okay, this thing isn't going away, so let's get some of the gains.
Okay. All right. We'll see what happens. I'm still going to shit on it sometimes, but we'll see what happens. I'm happy to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to talk about the local stuff?
We can do that, or we can also touch on Dan Crenshaw.
Oh yeah. What did Dan Crenshaw say? You know about this more than I do.
Do I know about it more? He doesn't like Tucker Carlson. He says that Tucker Carlson is a click chaser. Tucker's MO is simple: defend America's enemies and attack America's allies. There isn't an objective bone left in that washed-up news host's body. Mindless contrarianism is his guiding principle, buttressed by his childish tactic to just ask questions. But any educated adult, especially one with such a long career in journalism, should occasionally try answering some of those questions objectively. But he never does. Instead, he uses his platform to sow doubt and paranoia and false narratives. He does this for one simple reason: clicks and engagement, which of course translate to monetary benefit. He wants you to believe that he is the last place you can go for truth, and he's the only one brave enough to reveal the elitist lies being told. This nonsense about Christian mistreatment in Israel is just the latest example. Tucker will eventually fade into nothingness because his veneer of faux intellectualism is quickly falling apart and revealing who he truly is: a cowardly, know-nothing elitist who is full of shit.
Woo! Bring it, Crenshaw.
Whole Crenshaw.
So, I don't know. I'm not going to say that there isn't some grain of truth in there that he's motivated by clicks or money. Of course he is. That's the business he's in.
Sure.
Now, if we want to get to the substance of what he's saying, I don't really have an opinion on the Christians being mistreated in Israel thing. I think some on the right are using that as a narrative to try to persuade people that what's being done there overall is probably has negative consequences. And I agree with that.
Yeah. Sure.
No doubt. But I think he's trying to deliver that message in a way that he thinks will resonate with Christian conservatives in the U.S., which is, there are Palestinian Christians who are at the end of those bombs too. That's whose lives are being destroyed as the result of what happened, as a result of Israel's response to October 7th. And I think they're trying, I saw that he had that guy on. For me, it was like, okay, he's trying to speak to people in a way he thinks will resonate with them about this conflict. And he tried something out. And my question would be, why is Dan Crenshaw so upset about that?
I don't know. It's a good question. I have no idea. I mean, I think his largest donor is, or one of his largest donors was the AIPAC.
APAC.
And I think we heard from Colonel McGregor about what that might mean, right? So he has a financial and power dynamic going on why he might push back against this sort of stuff. I think it's kind of rich coming from a politician, especially one like Dan Crenshaw, talking about how Tucker Carlson wants you to believe he is the last place you can go for truth, that he's the only one brave enough to reveal the elitist lies being told. I'm not sure. Can we trust Dan Crenshaw? Is he an honest person? Is he full of truth? Is he not an elitist? Is he out there trying to explain to people the truth behind the FISA courts, the truth behind the intelligence agency spying on Americans? Is he out there trying to tell the truth about what's going on in Ukraine? Is he saying anything that's, counter to the mainstream narrative that we know is a lie on anything?
No. I mean, like you said, rich coming from Dan Crenshaw, who's bought and paid for, but no, he has a very specific worldview, and Tucker rejects it. I reject it. A lot of people on the right are rejecting it. And all of this overreaction from the Ben Shapiro and the Dan Crenshaws of the world and the former neocon right is they're losing control.
Yeah.
And they should be. Because what do they have to show for? What does that worldview have to show for? And in their attempt to regain control, they're acting very hysterical.
I mean, have you seen Raytheon stock prices over the past couple decades?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. What do they have to show for it? I mean, a lot of people got some money on that.
Yeah, but how's our country doing? How are the voters in our country doing? How are the people of the countries that we've been involved in doing? That's what Tucker Carlson and others are responding to. And even as somebody on the right, like I look at the Israel-Palestine thing and I'm like, I don't even want to be in the middle of it because their sides are just arguing past each other. Nobody's listening. Both sides have grains of truth. And it's just like, I just don't want to see people die. Well,
we have
this.
Iranian, this is from the Wall Street Journal, Iranian attack expected on Israel in the next 2 days. I'm not sure how that seems like bad strategy for people to know, for like the Wall Street Journal to know that it's going to happen in the next 2 days. Like how don't you want that to be a surprise? Right? I don't know.
Well, FISA.
Naturally.
That's how they know.
So Israel's preparing for an imminent direct attack from Iran. Tehran yet to decide, says person briefed on the matter. Tel Aviv. Israel is preparing for a direct attack from Iran on southern or northern Israel as soon as Friday or Saturday. That's today, guys, or tomorrow, when you're listening to them. According to a person familiar with the matter, a person briefed by the Iranian leadership, however, said that while plans to attack are being discussed, no final decision has been made. What is happening with these countries where like your war plans are being broadcast to the Wall Street Journal? Iran has publicly threatened to retaliate for an attack last week in Damascus, Syria, that Tehran said was an Israeli airstrike on a diplomatic building. The strike killed top Iranian military officials, including a senior member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps elite Quds Force, QUDS. What is that? So I bet Dan Crenshaw is absolutely. Can I say bad words on this show?
Sure.
He's excited about it. Let's just say that. He's excited about a potential war with Iran. This is what this is what they've been wanting. I don't know about Dan Crenshaw specifically, but I'm sure that he's excited about it too. But the Mitch McConnells of the world, the neocons of the world, probably even Ben Shapiro, they would love nothing more than a full-on war with Iran. Right? And how is that going to end up for us? Is that what's best for America? Because if that happens, Michael Searle, you're never going to be able to use your Bitcoin because you're going to die. It's not good.
No, it's not good.
So put it on cold storage, put it on your floppy disk right now, and put it is it behind that picture? Is that a safe? This one right here.
It's a map without a safe behind it.
Mm-hmm. That's what someone with a safe behind it would say.
True.
So it's not. This is escalating really quickly, which I think, it I think it bolsters the argument from the sort of, I don't know, whatever you want to call the people that are people on the right that are seeing what's happening and speaking out against it. It bolsters their arguments that this is a bad deal for America. This is not good, because now Israel supposedly, did they do an attack on a diplomatic building in Damascus, Syria? I don't know. It's war, so I don't know what's true and what's not. But even if they did, that's not my problem. That's Israel's problem.
Yeah. Well, it's going to become your problem.
Which fucking sucks, right?
So what do we, I'm going to take us on a tangent.
Please.
Here. I'm going to because I agree with everything you're saying. The speculation is that Israel, yes, they bombed this diplomatic building in Damascus, Syria. And Iran said, if they attack us, we're going to attack them back. So that's what this is about.
I mean, that's what Israel said about October 7th. They attacked us. We're going to attack them back. Okay.
So here's something that's not often discussed in conservative circles, which I'm interested in, is what about getting money out of politics?
What do you mean?
Not allowing groups like AIPAC to buy Dan Crenshaw and Mike Turner.
Can you name another group?
Any of the groups. This would be
any lobbying, you mean?
No, not necessarily lobbying, campaign donations. Let's just start with campaign donations.
Okay.
From non-individuals.
Okay.
Let's just start. I don't know. I'm just, for the sake of talking, I don't have a position on this yet, but what if you were to diminish the influence of, or diminish the power of interest groups in the electoral process by saying you can give as an individual up to whatever the limits are, $2,600 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But AIPAC can't stand up PACs and spend unlimited amount of money to save Mike Turner from getting ousted in his Ohio district because he's concealing the truth about UFOs. Like, what is
Israel's biggest concern right now?
Yes. So what about that as an idea? Why haven't conservatives been talking about it more? There's a lot of talk about the influence of the military industrial complex, and in this case, the Israel lobby, and America is getting the what is the word I'm looking for? They're getting the shit end of the stick. That's not. Those are two things
I think it's
combined.
Short
end of the stick. And the reason is because our elected officials have been corrupted by particular interest groups. What if we just got rid of the interest group corruption?
Well, I think the conservatives would say that what was the Supreme Court case that money
United.
is Citizens United. Money is speech, donations are speech, and so you can't stop that from happening. And so that's what they would say. You can have I don't know why they say, well, there's a limit on your speech when you're an individual. You can only go up to $2,600 or whatever you said. But when you're a PAC or a super PAC, you can donate. Your speech is unlimited. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not sure why that exists, but would that fix anything? Probably. But how would people pay for this stuff? I mean, in 2016 and 2020, there was, more than $1 billion spent on the presidential campaigns. Those 2 years, that's big business, bud. Big business.
I don't disagree. I mean, I see what, and have benefited from campaign spending in my business. So I get it. But my question is more philosophical. If the biggest problem, or maybe one of the biggest problems, is elected officials and our leaders doing things that are undermining the interests of the United States citizens to benefit big money and big donors, should we diminish their influence and increase the influence of everyday citizens?
Yeah.
That seems to be a conversation that should be happening on the right. And the people who want to point to Citizens United and say money is speech, well, I don't know what to do about them, because that's ridiculous. When the founding fathers wrote the First Amendment, they didn't even want political parties. So the idea that they envisioned spending money on political candidates as speech is preposterous.
Yeah. Well, what would you do in the case of, like, say, I don't know, Jeff Bezos? He owns which one is it? The Washington. He owns the Post, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he owns that, and he can tell them to write whatever he wants, whatever he wants them to write to support a certain candidate. Is that money being spent? And how? Okay, if you stop him from doing that, can you say, Jeff Bezos, you can't buy a TV ad during the Super Bowl or Shanahan? What's her name? Shanahan. Nicole Shanahan. You can't spend $4 million for an RFK ad during the Super Bowl because that's a political donation in kind, right? And that's too much money.
I mean, my general thought on government rules is we're smarter than them, so we'll find ways around it.
Yep.
So I don't think it's a silver bullet or anything, but I think there should be some broader discussion about how do we get how do we bring the interests of the American people to the forefront and diminish the interests of people who are not interested in those things. They're interested in whatever their thing is. And one of the big issues is the money in, I thought wasn't there one Republican candidate who said that they would not take super PAC money recently?
I don't know. I didn't hear that now.
So I think there's like some move on the right to go towards that kind of I'm not corrupted, which is, I think, on the right, which I think would be an important step. But I don't see any conservatives really talking about it. They're complaining about the Ukraine war, or they're complaining about the open borders, or they're complaining about all these various things, but they also know that there are corrupting forces that are making these things happen. So why aren't we dealing with that? I don't know.
I think that maybe I don't know. I don't think we have enough representatives and senators. Maybe senators is fine. I don't think we have enough representatives.
You think we should have more?
Yeah, I think each representative represents, I don't know, a shit ton of people, right? Upwards in the, what is it? We have 330 million people. We have 400 some odd representatives. That's too many people for each representative to be representing. And they don't give a shit what you as an individual have to say about their job performance or anything like that, because there's millions of other people that they're representing that they can just get their vote, right? So they're not going to take your phone call. They're not going to respond to your email unless you have a lot of money, right? But if there's more, you spread that power around, then it's a lot more difficult for the powers that be to actually influence politics a little bit more, and your vote actually might matter a little bit more because you would actually have your vote counts for more. Instead of 1 out of 1 million, it's 1 out of 20,000 or whatever the number is. Right?
Yeah, theoretically.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. I hope Charles enjoyed this episode.
I think he did.
We didn't talk about Charles at all.
I know.
Well, we did. I mean, we reported the news about him squatting.
So Charles, before the show, Brad and I schemed about what we were going to do on this show with you absent. And we didn't follow through on really any of those things. It was going to be, we were going to talk about all your favorite topics. And then we didn't.
Well, I mean, we talked about, him being a YIMBY and wanting a carbon tax and $30 minimum wage and squatters' rights, because housing is a human right. All things that he believes. Naturally, I mean, those are the people that are on his side. So maybe he should rethink his position, right, Michael? Because it's the people that are on your side and what they believe and who they are. That's what matters about your position, right, Michael?
No, I think we should have the great debate on here on this podcast.
I would love it.
YIMBYs versus NIMBYs, and let's just duke it out. I'll moderate because I'm ambivalent.
Okay, I don't believe you, but that's fine. I believe that you can be, for the purposes of a debate.
I like arguing with both sides because I think they're funny. But I think we should have a debate on it, maybe on Twitter Spaces, maybe on YouTube Live. I don't know. And you guys go get your best debate partners and let's duke it out.
Okay. I'm
And
in.
I will decide who the winner is, or the listeners.
I think it should be the listeners, but we can have your vote. Maybe your vote will count. We'll have the moderator's choice and listener's choice. All right, well, let's sign this off.
Yes. Thank you for joining the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your mothers. We will be back next week with a great interview that I'm not going to reveal now until we got it fully locked and loaded, but share with friends, share with family, like and subscribe, and join us next week on the BCM Podcast. Charles will be back.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Bye.